Welcome everyone. Today we will be looking at another Immortal game, this time played between Glucksberg and Miguel Najdorf. In this game, Black sacrificed all 4 of his minor pieces and then checkmated White with a pawn. You ready? The game begins with d4, the Queen's pawn opening. Black responds with f5, the Dutch defense. The Dutch is a very imbalanced opening and is a good way to break the symmetry against d4. Glucksberg plays c4 and then Najdorf responds with knight f6, developing the knight. This position somewhat resembles a Sicilian. Knight c3 developing the knight and then e6. e6 allows Black to develop his dark square bishop and then castle kingside. We then have knight f3 developing the knight. d5 striking in the center and playing in a stonewall type of way. e3 opening up the light square bishop so that if Black ever takes on c4, White can immediately recapture with his bishop. c6 from Black. Now this position resembles a stonewall. Black's light squares are strong and his position is solid, but he has tremendous dark square weaknesses. Bishop d3 from White, and then bishop d6 from Black. Both sides develop their bishops and prepare to castle. We now get castles and knight e2, rerouting the knight to the f4 square, or the g3 square. Knight bd7 from Black, preparing to put his f6 knight on e4, and then his d7 knight on f6, securing the e4 square for the knight. Glucksberg tries to punish Black's previous knight move with knight g5 attacking the e6 pawn and threatening to fork the Black queen and rook. This move is a mistake as Black has a brilliant resource. In this position, please pause the video to find the insane move that Najdorf played in this position. In this position, Najdorf sacrificed the bishop with the brilliant bishop takes h2 check. This is known as a Greek gift sacrifice. White then plays king h1. If White took the bishop, then Black would play knight g4 check, and would then play queen takes g5, regaining his minor piece and is now up a pawn. Najdorf now goes knight g4, protecting his bishop and opening up the queen's attack on the g5 knight. White defends the knight with the move f4, but this move dramatically weakens the e4 square and creates many weaknesses around the Black king. Najdorf plays queen e8, trying to go to h5 where he will set up nasty discovered attacks on the White king. g3 from Glucksberg, freeing up the g2 square, so after queen h5, the Black king can run to g2. Queen h5, king g2, and I ask you to pause the video to find the next brilliant move that Najdorf played in this position. In this position, Najdorf played the brilliant bishop g1. The idea of this move is that by moving the bishop, Black frees up the h2 square for the queen. White cannot take the bishop with the rook, as that would lead to queen h2 check, and wherever the king goes there would be queen f2 mate. This is why Glucksberg played knight takes g1, but that is also losing. The best move would have been to play knight f3, controlling the h2 square with the knight, instead of trying to immediately taking the bishop. After knight g1, Najdorf played queen h2 check, king f3, and then I ask you to once again please pause the video to find the lovely move that Najdorf played in this position. Here, Najdorf played the almost impossible looking and very useful move, e5. This move carries multiple threats, the first being e4 check. The second idea is to try and open up the center while the opponent's king is in the center, and this move also opens up the light square bishop, which becomes a vicious attacker later in the game. D takes e5 from White, and then if you're up for it, you can pause the video again to find the next brilliant move that Black played in this position. In this position, Black played the lovely knight takes e5 check, sacrificing the knight in order to open up the White king and activate the light squared bishop. White plays f takes e5, and then Black recaptures with his other knight. The king now goes to f4 and Black follows up with the lovely knight g6 check, forcing king f3, and then Black plays another lovely move, f4, sacrificing the pawn to open up the position and activate the pieces. If you want, you can pause the video again to find the next brilliant move that Najdorf played. This is probably the video with the most amount of brilliant moves in so far. In this position, Miguel Najdorf played the brilliant bishop g4 check, skewering the king and queen and attracting the king to the g4 square. After king takes g4, you guessed it, Najdorf played another brilliant move. If you want, you can once again pause and try to find this brilliant move. In the final brilliant move of the game, Najdorf sacrificed his last minor piece with the brilliant knight e5 check. The idea behind this move is that it forces white to take with the f-pawn and therefore opens up black's f8 rook. After f takes e5, the open rook now cuts off the king's escape squares on the f-file, and the queen cuts off the escape squares on the h-file, and therefore black can end the game with the very beautiful h5 checkmate. A beautiful pawn mate to win the game. I hope you enjoyed the game and managed to improve your tactical skills and your calculation by finding all these brilliant moves. If you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you, and I've put a link to a Lee chess study with famous annotated games that you can learn from. Now go promote some pawns.